Brendan, you're not introducing me by saying that I just made fun of your whole city. I didn't. This is Brendan, and he hates Calgary. I'm just kidding. I was raised in Calgary, so I can say what I want, right? That was awesome. Reggie was just giving me a massage. I didn't want to come up. I was like, so Reggie just told me that I look just like the guy who rejected him at the bar. So I'm sorry on behalf of my face. I have this thing where I have there's this thing going around, my mom loves it, that I have the most generic face ever. I actually got called once to, I got a call, my spoken word agent got a call from an acting agent. They were like, we need this guy for commercials, he's got the best face. And I was like, I don't act, and my spoken word agent was just like, come on, go do it. It'll be awesome, you can make tons of money. And I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And I thought that when I met the acting agent, she would tell me, like, you're so beautiful, or something like that. But instead, she actually just told me, she was like, you have the most generic face I have ever seen. She was like, does that ever happen to you? Like, doesn't that happen to you all the time? People are like, stop me on the street, and they recognize you? I'm like, yeah, that does happen. She's like, because you look like everyone. You could be a tax attorney, you could be a young father, you could be the guy watching football. I'm like, I could be the guy watching football. Yes. Are you getting any signal?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Lean into it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did you guys hear that? Is that? Yeah. Great. Awesome. Cool. So we were doing school gigs for the last 4 days. Wonderful, wonderful, awesome students. Really good. It's really hilarious though because we're staying at the Marriott, and the first thing you do in the morning is take the elevator down. For some reason, there's a woman program in the elevator to say all of the 15, 14, 13, 12, all the floors as you descend. She says them all very regularly, and then for some reason, when we get to the lobby, she's programmed to say lobby like the sexiest way possible. Lobby. And the doors open, and you expect it to be like ba 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 ba. But then you just have to go talk to kids, and it's really strange. So here's a little song. Some work shop with their families, some work shop in the mall. Some work a dock or a factory, some play basketball. Some work the streets and they don't have a job when the rain is starting to fall. Some work for the government, making robocalls. In the 2011 election, misleading phone calls and guelph riding directed voters to go to the wrong station for their polling. And since that news, 31,000 further complaints and a total 77 different ridings have been made. And the Conservatives won their majority by a total of 11 seats. But they won by less than 1,000 votes in 16 of those ridings. In fact, a total of 0.0031 voter percent had to be affected to attain a majority government. So while some work the shops with the family, some work shop in the mall, some work for the government, making robocalls. Employment is humiliation. We all suffer for our careers. Sometimes the words of a workplace bully put a little red around our ears. Because humiliation's specific, it doesn't happen from outside. A victim and a tyrant and a witness are all required. And I am willing to be that tyrant and disgrace Stephen Harper. I am willing to say that his hair looks like the top of a Lego character. Just like, boom. And in doing this, I know I humiliate myself. It's always shameful to enjoy the shame of someone else. And everyone who hears me compare his hair to a dead beaver pelt will also share in this humiliation with me as well. Because the pundits say in 3 years, when we next go to the polls, all will be forgotten and we won't remember those calls. But if I make a fool of Harper, and it makes a fool of me, and that makes a fool of everyone, perhaps it'll jog our memory. If we're gonna get made fools of, let's get to it first. So Stephen Harper, I hate your sweaters. You're a lame piano player. You shake hands with your kids. Yes. You secretly don't believe in evolution. Your wife left you for a woman for some reason no one reports it, even though you hate gay people. You're in love with mandatory minimum sentencing. Even Texas thinks you suck. You like arts, but by arts you mean multiculturalism, and by multiculturalism you mean tourism, and by tourism you mean business. Big business, like robocalls, because while some work shop with the family, some work shop at the mall, and some work a dock or a factory, some play basketball. And some don't even have a job and the rain is starting to fall, while some work for our shitty government, making bullshit fucking shit fuck robo. Response for Calgary. That's great. I did that on the Sunshine Coast in BC like last weekend, but everyone liked it. I was like, oh, Calgary, but it was good. Okay, so has anybody ever been in a relationship? Okay. I'm still in like school mode. I'm like, put up your hand if you've been in a relationship. Have you ever kissed someone? Yeah. Have you ever given a hand job? I'm just kidding, I didn't ask the kids. Charity, I'm kidding, I didn't screw up your whole school gigs, okay.
But I did!
Yes. I'm gonna leave it alone. Cool thing about relationships, I think, is that you leave the house every day, if you're in one. So sometimes you are, and sometimes you aren't. And then you have all of these. Even if you're living with someone, you have 8 hours apart in which you're, of course, physically changed by the world, but also emotionally and mentally. You go through all these changes. And the idea behind a relationship, or even like marriage, is the idea that no matter these changes that happen every single day, that you will keep changing in every regard in a way that's coherent with one another. Is a very strange kind of miracle. So I guess this poem is about that. In shifts along the hearth of your body, I dig through the things on fire in you and find what I cannot lose. Beneath the slip, the dash sheet, our hush of tethered legs softly coaxes the quiet in me. There's deep dreaming to be done at the heart of things, where the mind, steeled against the guts and the traffic of the world, stops its nattering and sees. Your breath bared on my breast is your body incarnate on my body. I feel the deep machinery of you working against the world, mincing potential accidents through to arrive at me. The blades of your shoulders pierce my hands. I hold you like this, as if from the lip of the cliff, because the gift of your body reminds me how real the rocks can be, how quickly we could slip. Every morning we wake up to be made by the steady burn of experience, this soldiering in of events to form of us new shapes. We're not shucked and lopped suddenly free into the world, we're nudged. Through constant new things we graze, guided as if we knew events. They look the same. We see roads and stores and rooms, the people for whom our love makes us quake, and we think we know them. Their smell does not surprise, their voice lulled long ago into memory, their smile as a homecoming. We don't notice how that house is never quite the same. We can't really remember what it is to be alive. It would require bearing witness to the brilliant cacophony in every turn of our head. The reveal of each new scene and sense would bring a hammering wonder. We'd have to stand before it like some tear in the universe, give thanks for every breath, as if for the life of every friend, the world to the brim, teams, and our leaving. The clutch and grasp of every human being would only bring more oceans and more new things, and if not oceans, more new things. This thimble of history could not point to with a pin. We exist most closely relative to nothing. But still, I feel I can shock a mountain to the ground. I feel moved at the entry to your mouth as before a trove, though it will soon be catacomb, though your skin will soon be feast for the small beasts that breathe there still. For every graceless stranger waiting to hide you in their negligence, I promise, the thrust of my attention will fire you like pinballs into lighted faces. I'm gonna put my hands on you so much, you'll remember your body for the rest of your life. It's the most foolish thing to believe. But despite the coming clouds, I count these feelings blessed, and lashing out against the horrible roll of history, I fasten the window and I silence the light, and I raise my last hands against the coming of the world by wandering them free over the outline of your aching frame. Thanks. And now I'm going to do something about my mom. I've never played the song in Calgary. I'm from Calgary, and I just thought it would be fun to do. Yeah, it's just a little joke song, whatever, a little story. My parents live here, and I get along super well with them, but this is a story I was home for 9 days over Christmas a few years ago because I broke up with my girlfriend. And you ever been in a relationship where your parents like your significant other better than they like you? Yes, so that was the occurrence. So it's bad to break up, that's shitty, but then coming home and having to explain it while your mother rolls on the floor and is like, no, God, why? That's worse than a breakup. Last time I was home, my mom bought me a dentist cleaning, which is awesome because I don't have health insurance. But she was like super neurotic. She woke me up 2 hours early because she didn't want me to screw up my dentist meeting. I don't know how you can screw up the dentist meeting, I guess by being late. So she drew me a map on how to get to the dentist. And then she drew the dentist on the map, and then she drew her house, and then she drew herself beside the house, waving goodbye to her. I got all spazzy and I'm like, Mom, I'm 30 years old, I got a GPS on my phone, it's really annoying, I don't feel very manly when you do this. And of course I go, and I screwed up the place, and so she phones me, and she's like, are you at the dentist yet? And I'm like, oh yes, I'm at the dentist, and I thought I was in the dentist, but I was actually in the chiropractor's clinic. So she's like, I told you couldn't know anything, you didn't read my map, did you? No. And so I go up to the dentist's office, the second floor, and in the dentist's office, which happens only in the movies, I swear to God, is this beautiful woman sitting all by herself. So I actually went and I got a form and I sat beside her and I was like, what's up, dentist, oral hygiene, I don't know. Said something. We conversed. I was like, yes, I'm conversing, this is going so well. And the nurse walks in and she's like, Brendan, you're here. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, I'm late. She's like, yeah, it's weird that you're late, because we called your mom. She said she drew you on a map on how to get here. So that went really well. So this is set in Calgary. When I got to the airport, my city's air was cold. My parents brought a jacket, because they think that I'm not old enough to dress myself. And then they started in on what time we'd eat supper. And when we would play bridge, then some Scrabble, then some bingo, then hearts, then taboo, then darts, then pinochle, then more Scrabble, then more bingos, then more hearts, then more taboo, then charades, then family feud, then the great Canadian trivia game. And you can ask questions like, what is the longest produced Canadian television series of all time? Anyone know? Beachcombers is totally correct. Does anyone not know the Beachcombers? Yeah, we're from America. They don't have that shit in America? I'm surprised. Usually younger people don't know. My younger brothers didn't know what it is. My mom was like, she was mortified. She's like, you don't know what Beachcombers is? That's it. We're gonna go, we're gonna buy every single Beachcomber on DVD. We're gonna have a Beachcomber Christmas DVD marathon. I'm like, I don't think you can buy Beachcombers on DVD. She's like, you never know unless you try. Let's go shopping for Beachcomber DVDs. And hey, since we're there, let's pick you out some extra socks and a bunch of underwear. Whether you wear boxers or briefs, let's talk about it in public in front of a really hot woman. Who looks at me like, wow, you're a total loser. My mother tries to make me try them on. Let's go back home and listen to a bunch of Christmas songs by Sting and Enya, Boyz II Men, Alabama, Mariah Carey, Peter Paul and Mary, Josh Groban, and Celine Dion. Well, I miss you a lot, but never quite as much as when fielding all the questions as to why we broke up. My mom's like, seriously? Why'd you break up? I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. She's like, seriously? I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. She's like, is it because every day for 6 years you go into the shower and use a little bit of her apricot face shampoo? I'm like, how do you know that? She's like, I'm your mother. I know everything. My mother's a big fan of quotes. She's always putting things up, especially because I'm like an artist. She's like, you know, the artist's way is the only way, and stuff like that. So when I was home, she's like, here's a quote. If you don't have love in your heart, you might as well keel over and die. I'm like, pretty sure that's not a quote. She's like, yes it is. Gandhi said it. I'm like, pretty sure Gandhi didn't say that. She's like, I can think of a situation which Gandhi would say that. I'm like, okay, what's the situation? She's like, imagine Gandhi had a son. I'm like, Gandhi did have a son. She's like, imagine Gandhi's son came home and was like, yeah, I've been dating someone for 6 years, but now we're not broken up, and I don't want to talk about it, whatever, fuck you. Then yes, Gandhi would have said that. I'm like, fine, Mom, who cares about Gandhi? Oh, who cares about Gandhi? Who cares about the whole history of Indian independence? Is that why you broke up? Because you're a racist? I'm like, Mom, can we talk about something else? She's like, sure, I saw in the newspaper the other day a story about Robert Munch. I'm like, great. Robert Munch is a storyteller, just like you. I'm like, that's great, yeah. And he had a stroke and he almost died, so watch out. I'm like, Mom, Robert Munch is like 75 years old. What does that have to do with me? She's like, you know who took care of him after his stroke? I'm like, it was probably his wife. That's right, his wife. And his children. 3 darling children. I'm like, Mom, you've never met Robert Munch's children. How do you know Robert Munch's children are darling? She's like, you know who else had children I never met? Yours. So I ended up telling my parents, and my ex ran away with the mailman. Thought that might finally just get them off my back, and said the mailman's like, what does the mailman have that you don't? My mom's like, what does the mailman have that you don't? Come on, let's make a list. 1, punctuality. 2, he spends a lot of time outdoors. 3, he's got a steady job. 4, he's a man in uniform. So I got back on the plane, having reverted to grade 8. Thank God for Christmas. Thank the Lord for the holidays. Thank you, Sherry D, for having me at the festival. Thanks to all the other artists.